The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Today is Saturday, December 7th, and we are going to break down a 5-game slate with one early game and a 4-game main slate in the evening. And I am joined by a new guy that I don't usually get to do a show with. It's been a long time. My man, Myles. How are you, Myles?
Yeah, man, it's our first show together, so pretty excited about that. And it'll be my first back-to-back appearance coming up here because I'll be on tomorrow as well with Mike.
Wow. Well, you know what? You get to see like a really good structured show, and then you get to go work with Mike tomorrow. So, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well,
Beat each other up.
I think half my shows have been with Mike already, actually.
I'm sorry about that. Well, awesome, man. Let's get this thing rolling. First of all, before we get started, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. We appreciate their long-term relationship with hoop-ball.com, and we certainly thank our hoopball.com folks, Brew and Dan and everybody at the home base there that really supports our DFS venture. We really feel we have the best 7-day-a-week free coverage of DFS NBA. So awesome stuff. We really appreciate them. And like I mentioned, we have one early game that's going to stand alone on the slates tomorrow. It is a 2 p.m. Eastern game, which is an odd time. Here in Dallas, it's a 1 o'clock start, and so that's even stranger. But it is the Pelicans at the Mavericks, and if it's all right with you, Myles, what I'll do is just it's been sort of a little format Mike and I have been messing with. It's gone real well. I'll just give sort of the pace and defensive efficiency rankings of the teams, and then I'll let you sort of game script it a little bit and tell me what you think of the game, and we'll just follow through with it from there.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Cool. Let's do it. Pelicans at Dallas. Pelicans 5th pace in the league, so they are definitely getting up and down the floor. They've been increased on their speed of play here pretty consistently the last couple of weeks. They were down in 10th all the way up to 5th. The Mavericks are down at 20th, a little bit more of Luka in the half-court set, either purveying the floor and surveying it, whatever you want to say, and either hit the step-back three or looking for the open man. And I think we're going to start seeing some double teams of Luka. He's going to get a little bit of the Harden treatment, I think, coming up, and teams are going to try to get the ball out of his hands, which I can understand. So the pace will be a pace up game big time for Dallas and a pace game down for the Pelicans. As far as defensive efficiency, the Pelicans are third from last in the league in defense. So that is one thing to take note of for sure. So not only a pace up game, but playing a poor defensive team for the Mavs. The Mavs, on the other hand, have improved a little on D. They're 15th, right dead in the middle, but tightening up a little bit and improving sort of game to game since Powell and some of the interior guys have been stepping up. So should be an interesting game. Luka Mania, I'm sure in this solo showdown slate, Luke is going to be about 88% owned, so it should be interesting. The only guy that I see out for this game so far, Myles, is Derek Favors. He's been ruled out. And I know Dwight Powell got dinged up on his hand or arm, but he is going to play. So that's the lowdown on the game. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, and so, I mean, looking at this and the pricing they have, I mean, you always want to try and get Luka into that captain spot, but they're making it real difficult this time with putting his price at 20,000 when he's in the captain spot. So it's almost making it like impossible to have him there. So the route I'm thinking I might take here is I'm looking at Jackson Hayes to be in the captain spot just because with Favors ruled out and Jalil got a DMP last time. So if that happens again, he can easily hit that 30 fantasy point mark, and he's not going to kill your bankroll in the captain spot. And then if you do that, you can get Luka, Brandon Ingram, and Drew Holiday all in utility spots. Nice. I mean, they are followed by a couple of hit or miss players with Kenrich Williams is one guy I was looking at, and another guy with Seth Curry. And I mean, both those guys can hit value no problem. So that's kind of the way I was looking at it. I mean, you could play around and stuff, and I mean, you could even try fading Luka, but it's a hard thing to do in this game slate. And the one person I decided to fade of the big stars was Kristaps Porzingis, just because he hasn't really been performing that well. And it almost seems like they went to a timeshare with Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, and Porzingis there in the last game.
No, that's a good point, and I think your strategy is good. It is almost impossible to have Luka in the captain spot. I mean, it really is. You have to go scrubs all the rest of the way. So I don't know if that's even doable. So the key is going to be, like you said, figuring out who do you put in that key spot. It's interesting. I like your point with Jackson Hayes. Dallas hasn't done great against opposing athletic centers. I do, I have a little concern because I know the Pelicans like to go small ball a little bit. And with Kenrich Williams coming back, he played in the last game 25 minutes. But prior to that, he had missed some games with a sprained ankle. But his normal run's been 35 to 30.
I think he was actually, Coach, I think he was out with a birth of his child.
No, it was a sprained ankle. I actually saw it happen.
I thought you had Isn't he just away for birth of a child as well?
No, he hurt his ankle.
Okay.
If he had a child, I think it's going to be really big news to him. Because I saw him go down with the ankle injury, and then they talked quite a bit about the last game because they wanted to try to keep him to 20 to 25 minutes in his first game back, but he came out of that game great. So I think.
Oh no, it says right here after sprained ankle and the birth of his child.
So both of them, he sprained his ankle and had a kid, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear that news, man. That's amazing. That is a coincidence. Well, I'll tell you, that's a narrative that you can play. A lot of guys come back after having a kid and just have blow-up games, it seems like. So certainly not anything that's going to hurt. But I like Kenrich anyway. Bring that all back around. I think, his role with the team, I think he'll be back in his normal minutes, especially now that, like you mentioned, Okafor sort of in the doghouse again, and Favors isn't with the team. So, really it's Jackson Hayes playing the big spot, and then, Kenrich is going to get a lot of those rebounds and a lot of that stuff inside as well. So I think both of those guys will make my lineup from the Pell side. I don't think I'm going to spend the big bucks on Ingram in this game, even though he's absolutely awesome. I think he'll get some really good Finney Smith defense, who is, a really good matchup for him. And I think he'll be able to at least keep somewhat of control of what he's doing. I'm probably going to do like you are. You can't really fade Luka completely. I mean, his ceiling is just, in a game like this is like 70. I mean, 75 maybe. And his floor probably 45 to 50, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I'm thinking he's going to be scoring in the 60 range for sure.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you can't fade him. So, the key is who do you put as that captain spot? And, for me, I really I know this is going to be a reach, but Hardaway Jr. has been playing good ball, getting good minutes, and I like the matchup here with the pace-up game. I'm considering Hardaway because I don't think anybody's going to use him in that captain spot. I'm with you. I'm not on the Porzingis bandwagon right now. He's been getting in foul trouble quite a bit, and just not performing to what his salary is. So I think I'm going to mess with it a little bit. We're sort of on the same track here. But finding the exact guys is going to be very key here. Lonzo Ball might not be a bad play either.
I looked at him too.
Yeah, he hasn't shot the ball well, but he gets all the stats: assists, rebounds, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, he's a potential triple-double threat.
Yeah, and Drew Holiday is a fantastic player, and he always really hurts the Mavs. But I've got a feeling they're going to probably try to put him on Luka, and that's, I think, going to zap most of his focus on the defensive side. But
yeah, they'll take a lot of his effort
what I'm
too.
assuming. Yeah, don't you think he'll guard him?
Yeah, probably.
Holiday?
Another thing I was thinking though was too with you're mentioning the captain spot of Tim Hardaway Jr. there. The only thing I've noticed too is the last few games, him and Seth Curry have kind of gone into a timeshare almost. And actually, in the last 2 games, Seth Curry has actually got a couple more minutes, and he's actually performed a little bit better than him. So I was thinking maybe you might go with Seth Curry in the captain spot over him even, and I think he's even a bit cheaper.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, when Hardaway is rolling, he's stayed with them longer. You're correct though. I mean, there's a risk with both guys because of some
for sure
of the minutes. But I think Curry has gotten.
I do like Tim Hardaway Jr. more as a player too, even for fantasy everything. But just the last few games here, they've been kind of in that split, and
you're
Curry's
right.
the one that's been on the up.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that's a really good point, and it might be a reason to fade both of them, to be honest. That makes even more sense, really. I'll tell you though, I don't like any of the Dallas bigs right now at all. None of them are really. I know Powell had a game out of his mind last time, but that was that was just
one-off.
An outlier. Yeah, and Kleba you can't count on. Porzingis hasn't been consistent either. So it's not an easy game. There's no doubt about it, but. I think you still have to find a way to get 3 or 4 Mavericks in there because of the poor Pelicans defense and the pace up. So, we'll toss that around. Maybe we didn't help as much as we could there, but I guess the takeaway from that solo game is, Luka making the roster for sure, but not in the captain spot, and then, play some of the bigs from the Pelicans. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, but it's going to be a unique game. I'm interested to see some of the lineups that do use Luka in the captain spot. To see they're going to have to use the ball boy as their last guy in the build, I think.
Yeah, they're throwing in the water boy.
Exactly. All right, let's get to the main slate. It's a 4-game slate. It starts at 7:30, so take note of that Eastern time. It's a 30-minute later start than normal for lock. And you've got the Indiana Pacers at the New York Knicks, who just fired Fizdale. This throws a whole monkey wrench into it. Yeah, because the question is, when their new coach takes over, he usually likes to put his imprint on the team, and Mike Miller is taking over. Yeah, and so I've looked everywhere, and I haven't seen anything yet. But the question is, who's he going to use, and what are those minutes going to be? So I would say
very news dependent kind of game.
Very news dependent.
To follow that throughout the day, because there definitely are some Knicks that I have some interest in, but I want to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, well, you absolutely have to stay tuned with us on Twitter tomorrow and at hoop-ball.com and everywhere. Just stay up to speed on it, because, if there's any coach talk that comes out, he really could start, as an example, and I don't have any, this I'm making this up, but I'm just saying, he may think that Damian Dotson's the guy that's going to get all the minutes at the shooting guard, or his point guard's going to be Dennis Smith as his main point guard. We don't know any of that stuff yet. Also, Fizdale's been starting Taj Gibson at center.
Yeah.
I would think he may go back to Mitchell Robinson. But
really
who knows?
hoping.
We're guessing though.
Yeah.
So stay in tune with the news. I guess my best advice is, if for some bizarre reason they don't give any of the news, then because it's the earliest game of the slate, they do have to turn in starting lineups 30 minutes before the game starts. So it might come down to literally watching that news feed of the starting lineup 30 minutes prior to start. And, this could be the game that unlocks all the value in this entire slate. Let's make up another name. Let's say he's going to start Bobby Portis at the 4, and he's, there's something comes out that he's one of his main guys. And, so those kind of people could plug into this, because they have so many guys that are just average players. But if they're going to get, 30, 35 plus minutes, then you got to jump on them. So that being said, you've got two things going. You've got the Indiana Pacers on a back-to-back that have to travel to New York. They just played a really, really close game with Detroit that came down to the wire that they lost. And so that makes this game extremely volatile. You've got, one negative is you have two slow-paced teams. The Pacers, 23rd in the league, and the Knicks are 28th in the league. Now, is that pace going to change? Maybe this coach says, let's run, let's go, and it's going to change the whole tempo, and those stats you can throw out the window. So we've got to see what that lineup is going to be made up of, and, what type of ball they're going to play. But this is a volatile game for sure. On the defensive side, the Pacers are 9th in the league in defense. They are pretty locked down. They had a really difficult time controlling Drummond and Griffin tonight, especially Drummond, another 2020 game. But, they're not going to face that type of formidable front line with the Knicks. And the Knicks are 23rd defensively. Again, the scheme could change now with the new coach in that seat. So, I don't even know what to say on this one. I mean, I guess you could give your best game script guess if you'd like. What do you got, Myles?
The players I'm looking at here, I know Sabonis and Brogdon are both on the back-to-back there, but they're two guys I'm looking at. Their prices aren't outrageous, and Sabonis has been averaging a double-double this year. He has with 18 points, 13 rebounds, and he's even been throwing in 4 assists a game. And like you said, he's going against the Knicks front court, and he's been having his way in pretty much any front court. Even tonight against Drummond, he still put up pretty good stat line there. I think he scored himself 46 fantasy points tonight. Yeah. So he can do it against anybody. And at 7,500, I think that's a good value. The other guy is Brogdon at 7,200. How did he even fare tonight? Actually, I didn't check that out.
He did okay. Not a normal Brogdon game, but
he's still 36.
Yeah.
Yeah, not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, going against this poor defensive team, and maybe that might change depending on who starts and who doesn't. But those are two guys I'm looking on that side, and then I have one more too, TJ Warren. Okay. Kind of going back to where Mike was saying here, he's only 5,400 and he's averaged 30 fantasy points for the last 6 games, and his shot attempts have all been in the double digits there, except for in one where he took 9. But he's a good price and he can easily hit that 30 to 40 mark. Then on the Knicks side of the ball, very news dependent here. Marcus Morris is at 5,000. So if he's still getting the starting role and still getting his minutes, I like him. He had a terrible game last game, but his shots are still all there, and he's a guy who's averaging 31 fantasy points on the season. and he can go off for 40, 50 fantasy points on a night. So at 5,000, I think that's a great value there. So if we get the news that he's still in the starting lineup, I'll probably plug him into a few of my lineups.
I don't blame you. He's been tough, but the question is, like you said, is he in the rotation? Is he starting? That's going to be the $1 million question. I would think the only really safe guy that will still start is Julius Randle. So, I mean, that's one thing you can consider if you're looking for a safety guy. He's probably the one guy immune to changes of the new coach, but that's yet to be seen.
The three guys I imagine staying in the starting lineup, the feeling I have is Marcus Morris, Randall, and Barrett. Those are the three I kind of feel are going to stay where they are.
Yeah, I mean RJ's probably safe too. I mean they're obviously going nowhere. They're the worst team in the league, the worst record. So they think they want to develop a young guy. So that's
sure.
Yeah, he's been inconsistent, and I'll tell you, the Pacers are a really good defensive team. They can stick it to you. So I don't know. I would, my best advice on this game is don't play it as much as you can until you hear some of the news of who's starting, who's playing for the Knicks, because that affects really both sides of the ball, if you ask me. But
yes, it does.
The one guy that I like the best from the Pacers in this game is Brogdon. He's done fine on back-to-backs. He seems immune to getting tired. If you ever watch him play, he just sort of glides along, man. He doesn't look like he's sweating. He doesn't look like he's stressing. He plays so smooth.
He's a very efficient player in everything he does, right? So I imagine he's not wasting unnecessary energy on things, right?
Yeah, I mean it's fun to watch him play. He's, like you said, that's the best word for him. He's efficient on the court. So, but keep in tune with us on for sure on Twitter, because we'll be posting stuff all day as it goes on. All right, the second main slate game is also a 7:30 Eastern Standard Time start. It is the hapless Cleveland Cavaliers against the Philadelphia 76ers. The big news in this game is Joel Embiid and Josh Richardson are not playing for Philly, so that certainly changes everything from their side of the ball. And we don't know if Kevin Love is going to play. He's, I guess, sick and missed tonight's game and is questionable. The only news that was out on him tonight was that Cleveland was officially taking offers trying to trade Love. So, the question is, are they going to play him and showcase him, or keep sitting him out with this quote-unquote virus until they can move him? Or, what's going to take place with that is still yet to be seen. As far as pace goes, Cleveland 22nd, Philadelphia 19th, so they're not going to be racing up and down the floor. And Cleveland, terrible defensively, 26th. They're sort of terrible in just about everything this year. And Philly is 6th. However, a big asterisk next to the 6th in the league defensively. They are the biggest shift of one guy sitting out in defensive efficiency. Their games average that they give up is 95 when Embiid plays, and it's 107 when he doesn't play. So it's literally a 12-point swing. That's how important Embiid is defensively to this team. So not that it makes Cleveland this hot play and a hot take, but they don't expect them to be as defensively sound as they normally are. Plus, Josh Richardson is a shutdown, a perimeter defender. So if you're ever going to catch Philadelphia at their weakest in defense, without Jay Rich and Embiid playing, that should give Cleveland a little bit of chance to score more. And if Love plays, it certainly puts him into play. What's your take on this one, Myles?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like with that Embiid too, it when he's in there, it definitely deters people from driving to the net. But with him not there, I'm guessing that's why the teams are scoring more points is because they can drive in through the paint.
Right. No rim protector. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, with Embiid and Richardson out, I'm looking at the three big guys on Philadelphia side there. I like Simmons a lot. He's averaged 37 fantasy points against these guys both times they've been out. And I mean, in one of those games, he only had 26 minutes because it was a blowout game. But so at 8,200, I like him. And he'll have no problem with, like you said, this poor Cleveland defense. The other guy I'm looking at is Horford because, I mean, when Embiid is out, his usage goes up. He's quite the playmaker too. He can do a bit of everything. And at 6,700, I think he's a great price.
Yep.
The other guy I'm looking at here is, as a value play possibly, is Matisse Thybulle. With Richardson out, he's been getting some decent minutes, even getting the start in some places. And, I mean, like I said, once again, going against a bad defensive team, and he's been getting a little bit more confidence going here. He's been putting up a bit more shots. So, as long as that trend continues, he'll be good because that was one of his big problems before. Is he was always good defensively, but he just wasn't taking shots or making any shots. So, obviously he's not a guy that you can just walk and load in a bunch of places, but, in GPPs, throw him into a couple lineups for sure. And then the other guy is Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
I'm not as hot on him because he has been priced up quite a bit. And I find that his game is a lot of, depending on his shooting. If he's cold, he can score 20 fantasy points like he did on the first time out playing against this team. But if he's hot, he can go and score 48 fantasy points like he did the second time out. Right. So very dependent on the shot there. So of those, big three at the start there, I'm more interested in the Simmons and Horford. And then on the Cleveland side, I didn't have much interest at all in any of them. I mean, like you said, too, we got to wait and see what is going to happen with Kevin Love. But even if he's rolled in, I still don't know if I have much interest in him. He's really cooled off since the start of the year, right?
Yeah,
he's
and
not
he costs
throwing
a
up
lot, too.
Big points like he was.
Yeah.
But I do like Tristan Thompson playing, at he's only 6,100. And, I mean, he managed 35 fantasy points both times out, and that was with Embiid playing. So, I mean, as long as they're not pulling him away from the hoop too much, I think he can definitely get you value there. What about you? Who you got on this slate?
Well, I sort of like this game. I think it's going to be sneaky because no one's really going to play it. I think they're going to just look at it as a low-scoring blowout potential game, which I get it. I mean, it certainly, looks like that way, from the periphery. But I think that this game has some value to it. I think with Embiid and Richardson out, and like I say, their defensive efficiency, I think there'll be some points here. And, on the Cleveland side, I like Tristan Thompson. I think that he'll have a solid game here because Philly likes to place Horford at the 5 when Embiid's out. So I think that, the only time Thompson really seems to struggle is when he's going against the really big athletic centers like, the Bama Adebayos and guys, Gobert's and things. But, with Horford playing center and then they bring Mike Scott and some guys like that in, I think Thompson, is a sure double-double here, and I feel comfortable with his salary. On the Philly side, every single time that Embiid has been out, he's missed 4 games, and the last 4 games he was out, Horford made value 5x or better in all 4 of those games. So I don't see how you don't just plug him in. He's also, he should be like $1,000 more than he is when Embiid's out because all of his stats go up all the way around. And the other guy that I really like is Tobias Harris. He's one of my favorite plays on the slate. He's been on fire lately, playing with a lot of confidence. I think he can get some more, not be as point dependent and get some other statistics as well with Embiid out. Yeah, more rebounds, and even how they played through Embiid a lot. They do play through Horford quite a bit when Embiid's out, but it also increases how much Tobias touches the ball. and he's not a bad passer. He's competent in passing the ball, and so I think he can add some stats across the board, including in scoring in the mid-20s, real points. So I really like him in this game. I'll probably have 3 guys out of this game, and I think that will be the big differentiator for me, because I think a lot of people will either skip this game or maybe just put one guy in. So I'm looking for this to be
A stat
something
game for you?
a difference. Yeah, I do. I know it's going to be against the grain, and it's going to be very, extremely different to what most people's strategies. But sometimes, being contrarian is a good thing. So I'm hoping that works out on this one.
No, I like that call a lot because, yeah, like I said, I like those 3 big guys on the 76er side, and I was planning on playing usually at least 2 of them in my lineups.
Oh.
Just because, like I said, I'm probably going to go more with the balanced lineup than I am going to go with the stars and the scrubs when we're going to go and talk about the next game coming up here.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you I think that if this game stays close enough, it can really, the only big threat is the blowout. It could really mess some things up. And I'll tell you, a lot of people are going to go to Thibault and Korkmaz because those guys are going to get big minutes. But I don't know. I'm afraid of them. I've watched Thibault, and yes, he's a terrific defender, but he's still somewhat incompetent offensively. I mean, I just think it's a risk. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to take him because, he's put up 4 or 5 steals in a couple of different games, and, he's tempting. But I would say watch the trap there. That's all.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I was, I like him, but I'm not locking and loading him.
Yeah. Good GPP play, I guess.
Yeah.
No doubt. And just quickly here, too, is at the midway point, we have 2 more main slate games left. Again, this is a 3-step process. I know I mention it on every pod, but I want to make sure our listeners know, listen to this show. We put it out late the night before. It's Friday night right now. It's for Saturday's slate. It'll come out late tonight. You can listen to it then or first thing in the morning, breakfast, whatever. Absorb that, start building a shell lineup, get that going, and then you really got to follow us on Twitter and keep an eye out for the news because that makes all the difference in the world. I mean, the news that came out today, for example, when we, found out that Isaiah Thomas wasn't going to play, it made Ish Smith a plug-and-play, no-brainer point guard, and he did a great job. Those are the kind of things you've got to catch. If you're not and you're trying to throw lineups in ahead and then just go with it, you're not going to win. You got to really watch it down to the wire. So, dial us up on the podcast. You can just search for NBA DFS Today or just DFS Today. You can find us everywhere podcasts are found. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, we're there. We just ask you take 15, 30 seconds, rate, review, subscribe, hit the 5 stars, likes, positive reviews. If you have a second or two, give us a couple of positive words. It really helps us build the show, grow the show, reach out to some sponsorship. And our goal is to keep this above in front of the paywall. We want to keep this 7-day DFS coverage free. We brought you every single slate in the preseason, every one so far in the regular season, and we're going to do the same in the postseason. So please keep supporting us there. Follow us on Twitter, like I say. Follow us tonight. Tomorrow we'll be posting stuff constantly. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. He is at Myles 6565. We have our man Mike Apotria at MikeApotria. And Andrew is at Language Olympic. He's going to be in Vegas, so good luck to you, Andrew. Clean him out in Vegas this weekend. But I don't know if you'll catch him on Twitter because he'll probably be at the craps table. But the rest of us will be there. You can catch us. And also just look up Hoopball Fantasy. That is our Twitter handle for hoop-ball.com, and we have our blurbers and everybody throwing stuff up there constantly that can give you some updated info as well. All right, we've got that going. 2 games left. We have an 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we do have a true late night hammer solo 10 o'clock game. So the 8 p.m. game is the Phoenix Suns at the Houston Rockets. As we were talking before the pod, we expect that this will be the game that everybody targets, everybody stacks, and everybody goes after. And I can understand why. It'll be the highest over-under on the slate, and it makes sense. The Suns are the 11th in the league in pace, and Houston is tied for first. So they're going to be getting up and down the floor, no question about it. Defensively, these teams aren't that bad. Phoenix is 19th, but they were 7th before the Baines injury. And it seems like they drop a spot or two every day since Baines has been out. So one guy in the interior defense sure can make a hell of a difference, and that has happened with Baines. But all in all, Phoenix is not a bad defensive team. Monty Williams is a good defensive scheme coach, and I think it'll be interesting to see how they defend the Rockets. I don't know, for those of our listeners that watched the Raptors-Rockets game, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it, really. Nick Nurse and the Raptors decided that they were going to go with something I used to run in high school. They don't even run it in college very often because the players are so good, let alone the NBA. But what they did is they had one guy on Harden, and he guarded him up. Anunoby, I think it was. They guarded him up the floor. And then the second he crossed half court, whoever was up high, whether it be Van Vliet or Lowry, they ran and literally double teamed him, forced him to give up the ball to an open player, and then they played 4-on-3. So, I mean, it crushed Harden for DFS purposes, but it wasn't effective for the Raptors to win that game because, the NBA players are too talented. So House dropped a bunch of points, and I mean, you give those guys 15 and 19 footers wide open, they're going to kill you every time in the NBA. So I don't know if Monty will run anything like that. I don't anticipate that he will, especially since it wasn't effective for Toronto. So for that reason, my big pay-up guy on this slate, I'll be probably with 70% of the field on this, is going to be Harden. Harden is going to be the guy. I think he'll rebound from that Toronto game. It's a home game, again, without Phoenix having really good rim protection. If they're playing Kaminsky in the paint, I think I could finish a layup with him in the middle. Probably not, but I'd like to anyway. So anyway, and then that's going to be a big key to the game. But I think in breaking it down, that's sort of where you have to start. Is are you going to go the Harden bandwagon that direction, or are you going to try to script it another way? So what do you got, Myles?
So yeah, I'm going to try and script another way.
Okay.
I want to try and build the more, like I said, balanced lineup here. And the one guy I'm liking a lot off the Rockets is Clint Capella. I mean, is coming off a down game against the Raptors, but with Baines doubtful, and I mean, it's this Frank Kaminsky and Dario Saric in the front court. They're a far cry from Gasol and Ibaka.
And check Diallo too. Check Diallo a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but like I said, far cry from what the Raptors front court is.
Oh yeah.
And I expect him to have a big bounce back game here, and I mean, it's hard not to recommend a guy who's had 20 rebounds in 7 of the 9 last outings he's had. And I mean, in the one other game that he didn't get 20, had 19. So,
he had 20 rebounds 6 games in a row.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I've seen that in like 30 years. I'm going to have to look that stat up, but I don't remember seeing that unless you go back to like Jabbar and those guys years ago.
I definitely think it did. I think it said it broke something like for at least Rockets. I think it was a franchise record or something like that.
Amazing. And that's a team that had Moses Malone and Hakeem Olajuwon. So, yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I know for sure there was they had a stat about it. I just can't remember exactly what it was. But I mean, yeah, he's just been playing, out of his mind here since he's come back from that concussion.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, besides that, I mean, there are some value plays on the Rocket side that I'm kind of having a little bit of interest in here. I mean, I guess like what you said with them double teaming hard and left some people open. And I'm guessing Ben McLemore was one of those players because he had 40 fantasy points last game.
McLemore and House were the two biggest beneficiaries, and a little PJ Tucker, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if McLemore is starting again, I wouldn't mind throwing him in a couple of lineups just to see if he can continue with this 3-point shooting that he's been doing. I mean, in the last game, he has 8 of 17, and then 2 games before that, he was 6 of 11. So, I mean, if he keeps on just going down there and checking those up, I mean, he could hit value, no problem. And, like, that's the reason I like Clint Capella a lot in these games, especially with these two teams, is they're going to just be throwing a bunch of, 3-pointers. And if they're missing those, he'll be there to grab that rebound.
Yep.
Then for the Sun side, I'm iffy about trying to go out to Devin Booker because he is getting priced up there. I mean, he did have an amazing game last game. I think, he scored 71.5 fantasy points, so phenomenal. But the guy I'm looking more on that side for the balanced kind of lineup there is the Ricky Rubio. And, I mean, he had a good game last game, too. I think he got 53 fantasy points. I mean, these numbers are a little, embellished because they went to, I think, a second OT in that game. Yeah. But, I mean, like I said, once again, if Rubio's teammates are hitting the, shots that he's passing to them, he'll be racking up the assist again. And at 6,800, I like that price. Besides that, I'm not 100% on any other guy in this game. Frank Kaminsky can get decent points and stuff, but not somebody I'm really big on this time. And Daniel House is another guy I like too for that lower pricing. But yeah, I mean, besides that, depending on if you're needing them or not, maybe you can look at Austin Rivers or Cameron Johnson. But those guys aren't anybody that's jumping out to me. What about you, Coach?
Well, I a couple of things here. First of all, like I say, I'm gonna start my build with James Harden, and I love your take on Clint Capella. I think Capella is a fantastic play. I'm gonna try to fit him in. The question is salary-wise. I don't know if I can do it, but those are the two guys I absolutely love from Houston. I am not on the Westbrook bandwagon. I know he's putting up some triple doubles and such, but man, he's struggling shooting the ball.
Oh yeah.
And
they call him they call him Brick Book for a reason, right?
Yeah, he couldn't make anything, and he was wide open. So I'm steering clear of him because he's expensive anyway, and I just don't trust him at all. One interesting statistic though that I can say on the positive side for Westbrook is, right now, he's second in the league in defensive efficiency against the other team's point guard. So his focus this year, he had said coming into the year, was to on-the-ball defense. He was taking that challenge. He knew he wouldn't have to score as much with Harden on the team, and he really was going to focus on shutting down some of the other team's point guards, which he's done. He's done a fantastic job. So I think he'll stone Rubio pretty damn good. So I think Rubio's a trap. Be careful with him. I do love Booker, though. He's going to get hard in defense, and Booker is hot right now. And if this game is to stay within shouting distance, he's going to have to throw another 50 or 60 fantasy point game up there. I don't know if he'll reach 70 again, but I think Booker is a great play. I love Harden, and I want to try to fit Capella in. Other than that, I think that everybody's going to try to play the periphery guys because they're going to see this as the game that they have to stack. So they're going to be forcing in guys like Kaminsky and Cam Johnson and Kevin House, Daniel House, and McLemore. I don't want any of those guys. I think they're going to be all 10, 12, 15% higher owned than they should be. And I'm going to try to stick with the main dudes in this one.
Yeah, no, all right. Don't knock you for that. I'm thinking I'll probably try and pluck out one or two of them and put them in there. But yeah, like you said, it's not always easy to pick the right one.
And that's the key. That is the key. All right, last game on the slate, brother. This is it. 10 o'clock, late game, hammer, sweat, late night sweat. No other game on. It's going to come down to this one. And the sad part for Coach here is Coach is going to already have all his DFS points in the tank, and I'm going to have to sit there and just root against everybody because this is a Memphis versus Utah. At Utah, you've got the sixth fastest team in the league in Memphis. However, that's skewed because a lot of that speed was due to Ja Morant. And, I don't trust that they will play at that same level of speed, especially with Utah, who likes to grind it out. Now, Utah is in the middle of the pack. They've been playing a little bit quicker, but they're still a really grinded out team. And defensively, Memphis is 22nd. Utah's in the top 10. They tied for 9th, 10th in the league defensively, so they do a good job. But, the other key factor in this game is neither team may have their point guard. We know for sure Ja Morant's out, and Conley is questionable. And from what I read tonight, it sounded more like doubtful to me. So we may have neither of the starting point guards. Also on the Memphis side, Brooks is also questionable, and he's been a huge part of what Memphis is doing. And Anderson, their key slow-mo off the bench, is also doubtful in this game. So there's a lot of injuries.
Clark is also ruled out as well. His left hip.
Yeah, and Clark's out as well. So, it makes you want to play Joe while their bigs are out. But do you really want to go against Rudy Gobert, the two-time defensive player of the year?
Did you see what he did to him last time?
No.
He smashed him last time.
Joe Val did?
Yeah, he did.
Well, I don't know.
That's why I'm looking at it.
Well, that's...
he scored 53 fantasy points against him last game. 22 points, 17 rebounds.
Oh, my
3
God.
blocks.
Well, then you got to consider it, although it might have pissed off Gobert, and he made
Gobert could come back with vengeance.
That's going to be an interesting one. That could be a real pivot play. I mean, I would say go for it. I think I would prefer Capella, but no. I mean, if that's a great stat, I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't realize that, but the game is at Utah. People don't talk much about Utah, but it's not quite as much as Denver, but there's still an elevation, and it's still quite a home court advantage. The one guy that's everybody's sort of happy pick right now is DeAnthony Melton, and I get it because shows that he's got some ability and he's splitting time at the point. Actually, may get more minutes at the point than Tyus Jones, and I don't mind Melton. I really don't.
He started the second half on the last game they played, so maybe he'll get the start from the beginning on this game.
And I think, if so, you got to really think about it because he's cheap and he seems to be efficient. And if Utah's not going to have Conley, or Conley plays and isn't at full speed, Melton might be a sweet little play. But, there is going to be some value you can pluck out of this game with all the guys missing from Memphis. I mean, you may get an awesome game from a Solomon Hill or an awesome game from
Grayson Allen.
Jake Crowder. Oh, gosh. I can't put Grayson.
Well, if Brooks is out, I feel like they're going to be plugging in Grayson Allen there.
He could play 30-some minutes. I know. I know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I won't take any more time on this because I'm not going to play much of it at all, if other than Melton maybe. But what do you got, man? I know you got a couple of late night sweat guys you're going to play.
Yeah, because if I'm going with that balanced build here, I might put Capella and Valanciunas in the same lineup. Use my utility spot for Valanciunas. Because he's been just on fire the last 3 games here. Let's see, what's the lowest the lowest he's scored is that 53 fantasy point game. Otherwise, he's had 60 and 58.
I love Joe Val. I really do. But it's Gobert in Utah. He already smashed him once. I guess
Yeah.
it can happen.
It can
Yep.
happen. The other thing is too, he's getting that 30-point or 30-minute mark, and then he got 32 and 34 in the 2 games before that.
Right.
And with Clark out, and like you said, Clark, Anderson, and Brooks, like all out there, there's a lot of minutes to go around. So
A lot of usage.
Going to be getting below that 30-minute mark, and they'll need him in there to be going against Gobert.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side there, I still like Rudy Gobert. I mean, it's not like he did absolutely terrible last time. He still got 40 fantasy points against them, and I mean, he's also going to have to be out there if Valanciunas is out there as well.
Right.
And I mean, 7,300, it's not an outrageous price for him. You know, he can get up into the high 40s, low 50s. But I still think I might lean more towards Valanciunas. Just like I said, he's been on fire. Yeah. The other guy I'm looking at here is Donovan Mitchell. I mean, it's a plus matchup for him. One of his best games this season has come against them, where he scored 53 fantasy points. Yeah. I mean, if he's hitting his shot, he's gonna be giving you that little fire symbol on the DraftKings.
Well, I'll tell you, Brooks is a pretty good defender, and that's who would guard him. And if he is out because he's questionable, you might be onto something. He could be one of the higher scorers on the slate.
Wow. I'm sure Brooks was guarding him earlier in the year, and he seemed to have no problem with that. So I still like him if he's playing.
Good. And
then, like I said, for like you mentioned earlier, the value plays at Solomon Hill highlighted there. With Clark and Anderson out, he's going to have to get minutes. And 2 games ago, he had a 40-point fantasy game outing against the Pacers. And that's a pretty good front court. So, no reason he can, I don't expect that again. My expectations more lying around the 25-30 mark would be, I think, more reasonable to think. I mean, last game, if he had hit 2 of his 4 3-pointers, he would have been hitting around that 25 fantasy point mark instead of the 17.
Yeah. I'll tell you one guy I'm not going to play. He crashed and burned my entire lineup. I had the nuts lineup, and it was Joe Ingles. Last game was awful.
I saw your tweet about that.
Yes, I was ready to. Did you see the baseball guy chasing me like he was going to kill me? Oh man! So don't trust Joe Ingles.
I looked at his fantasy points there. I was like, oh yeah, I can see why.
It makes sense too, because he was going to play a lot of point, and I just thought it was a good play.
Usage opened up with Conley being out, and the game before when Conley had missed half the game, he went out and he did great. So you had all the signs were there thinking it's going to happen again.
Gigantic sucker play. Jingles is never. I said on there, and I'm sticking with it. He's not going to make my lineup the rest of the year. I'm done with it.
The thing is, for cash games, I don't think so. But for GPPs, he is one of those guys that he's, like I said, he's up and down. He has not had any consistency this year. So, but GPPs for 4,500, I don't mind maybe plugging him in a couple spots. But I know you won't be plugging him in anywhere.
Heck no. No doubt. Well, awesome, man. That should be good. I mean, that gives a good, solid breakdown. We talked about just about every player that makes sense. But, some of the news we need to still hear. I would say, the Conley news is gigantic. Certainly the Kevin Love news is important. And then the entire Knicks franchise, what the hell they're going to do. So who knows there. But, definitely. So any other comments on the slate? How are the people going to win all the money, man?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, going with your lineup of having the Harden, I think it's either you're going to hit value with Harden or you're going to struggle with all the, trying to find the value or players to make that Harden lineup work.
Right.
I'm really liking this balanced lineup look here, and there's a lot of players that I like in that 8,000 to 6,000 range that I think are gonna go out there and perform well.
All I can tell you, Myles, is fear the beard. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh,
He
man.
could be scary. You're really, if you're watching him play and you're just watching the fantasy points climb and you don't have them, you're just sitting there going, oh, well, you're just hoping that your rest of your players are going to go out there and have smash value as well. But
Well, and D'Antoni never takes them out.
oh,
He doesn't care if they're up 30 or what at the pro. He just leaves them in. It's crazy. It is
Yep.
crazy.
And
Well, all right, man. Great show.
You always want them at the end of your, like if you have him season long, you're always just happy because you know the exact thing. He's never going to fit, and he's never going to play half.
The problem is he runs out of gas in the playoffs. That's
not good for real basketball.
Exactly. If you're a Rockets fan, you got to hate it, man. No doubt. Well, you got to do this show with me tonight. Like, I mean, this is as good. I mean, it's awesome. We did an hour show, and then tomorrow you're stuck with Mike Apotria.
Back to me, Mike.
What are you gonna do? He gets real heavy. You got to carry him through these shows. You're gonna get a score back.
I can't quite say that because the whole reason I'm here is because I asked for his help to not fly solo tomorrow. So I don't think I can quite throw him under the bus that much there.
Oh,
you're gonna get me in trouble here, Coach.
No. We beat each other to death when we have the opportunity to. But he's my buddy. He's good. It'll be a great show. And Sunday I think is a bit more activity. So. Yeah, how many?
9 or 10 games.
Wow. Okay.
And there's our radar.
Hey, we have a mascot. Cool.
Yeah. Donut.
Get him. I think what's the reaction is because you are fading Harden, and I think Dog understands what a risk that is.
If only he was that smart, hey?
Hey, you know it, man. All right. Well, fantastic. It's been a fun show. You guys enjoy the card tomorrow, the early Mavericks game. That'll be awesome. And definitely join Myles and Mr. Apotria tomorrow. It's actually a nice 8-game slate, so that's perfect for Sunday. Yeah, that'll be perfect. So you guys enjoy that. And Myles, it's been fun. I look forward to when we do another one together.
Yeah, great for first podcast with you. And I look forward to the next one.
Sounds good, buddy. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on another edition of Hoopball NBA DFS today. For Myles and Mike Apotria, Andrew Hansen, the whole team at hoop-ball.com. I'm Coach, and we will catch you again on the next episode of NBA DFS Today when we look to crush it for you on the DFS slate. Thanks and good night.
Good luck, guys. Have fun.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.